Honorable Vincent Byron, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications, Mr. Sylvester Cadet, Program Officer, International Telecommunications Union, Dr. Martin Koyabe, Manager, Technical Support and Consultancy Division, Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, and Lead Consultant for the St. Kitts and Nevis Broadband Strategy, Ms. Diana Francis, Permanent Secretary Acting, Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications, Mrs. Arthur Shiverton, Systems Coordinator, Telecommunications Services Management Unit, senior government officials, representatives of regulatory agencies, network operators, private sector organizations, consumer groups, the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and more specifically, the Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this St. Kitts and Nevis Broadband Strategy Consultation. Permit me also to extend a special welcome to our colleagues from the ITU and the CTO. Mr. Sylvester and Dr. Koyabe, I trust that you will take some time out of your busy schedule to enjoy the natural beauty of our Twin Island paradise and experience the warmth and hospitality of our people. The purpose of our consultation sessions this week is primarily to sensitize key stakeholders about the proposed framework, that is, the principles, objectives, activities, and expected outcomes for the development of a national broadband strategy for St. Kitts and Nevis. Over the next 4 days, stakeholders will be engaged in discussions on various aspects of the broadband ICT ecosystem, including ICT and broadband policy legislation and developments, the legal and regulatory aspects, infrastructure, connectivity and devices, capacity building, awareness, content and applications, finance and investment, as well as implementation, monitoring and evaluation. Through these multi-stakeholder consultations, we will work together to identify and arrive at consensus on the main goals and priorities of the strategy that will be critical not only for supporting the delivery of digital services in government and the private sector, but more importantly, for advancing the wider socio-economic development of the Federation. As we prepare to deliberate over the next few days, it is my hope that all stakeholders will seize the opportunity to participate fully in charting the course for the future development of the broadband ICT ecosystem in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Finally, I would like to extend sincere thanks and appreciation to the ITU for so readily responding to our request for assistance in developing the national broadband strategy, and to the CTO for partnering with the ITU on this initiative. Your willingness to provide resources to support the development of this strategy is further demonstration of your commitment to advancing the development of ICTs at the regional and international levels. We look forward to the successful completion of this work, the implementation of which will be key in positioning St. Kitts and Nevis to realize the full benefits of the digital economy in the near future. Thank you, and I look forward to engaging in fruitful discussions as we embark on this exciting journey.
Honorable Vincent Byron, Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications, Mrs. Diana Francis, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications. Amicia Mussenden, Director of Technology. Urta Shiverton, Systems Coordinator at the TSMU. My colleague Martin Koyabe of the CTO, and you special participants who have taken of your very valuable time to be here. Let me first of all extend greetings through to you, Honorable Minister, from the area representative of the ITU, Mr. Cleveland Thomas. And you know that Mr. Cleveland Thomas thinks dearly of St. Kitts. Of course, we embrace all our member states, but we do recall the great work of St. Kitts, especially culminating in that special award which was conferred on St. Kitts in 2016. I recall we were down in Botswana together, and it is testament to the kinds of strides that St. Kitts have been making in the ICT sector and is continuing to make as you move forward with your progress towards your wholesome national socio-economic development. And it's within this context that St. Kitts and the ITU, together with the CTO, is collaborating on moving forward in one aspect of this wider developmental approach, and that is to address the whole issue of broadband development. Now, broadband cuts across all areas within the Millennium Development Goals and now the Sustainable Development Goals. And some of the most promising applications and services in information technology are those that are delivered over high-speed broadband networks. More countries are introducing national broadband plans to bring more people online, but major differences in broadband access persist. And it is for this reason that many countries at this point in time are addressing those areas of ensuring that the broadband is brought towards part of the whole integrated development planning of countries. Now, broadband networks, according to my ITU Secretary General, offers perhaps the greatest, and I'm quoting now, the greatest opportunity we have ever had to make rapid, solid advances in global social and economic development across all sectors, including healthcare, education, new job opportunities, transportation, agriculture, trade and government services. In the 21st century, broadband networks, therefore, need to be considered as basic critical infrastructure, like roads, railways, water, and power networks. And therefore, it becomes not just an economic imperative, but now it becomes a social and probably even a moral imperative to ensure that broadband services and all the benefits associated with it can be brought to the general populace of the respective member states. And it is within this context that the ITU finds that kind of collaborative approach with member states towards fulfilling this goal is brought to the fore. And therefore, we feel quite pleased that you are able to take of your very valuable time to share your thoughts, your perspectives, and your vision from your various sectors so that it can be brought in a very integrated way into molding the kind of strategy the kind of plan ultimately that will propel St. Kitts and Nevis forward. Let me say that I look forward to very fruitful discussions during the course of this week. I anticipate quite a bit of interaction as we dissect the various issues, and that we look forward to molding these into the kind of strategy and the kind of plan that you anticipate. I have said a mouthful, but I hope that this would set our minds in motion as we look towards the horizon. It is said that he who looks beyond the horizon will find his right road. And I will leave you with a last phrase by one of my professors at university. And he always impressed on us. In my second language, he said, "Kto хочет, тот добьется." This is Russian, which means who dares wins. Who dares wins. Therefore, we should dare to succeed as we develop this broadband strategy for St. Kitts and Nevis. I look forward to discussions, and God bless you for the rest of the day.
Honorable Minister, Vincent Byron, Honorable peers, Diana Francis, Director of Technology, Amasia Macedon, my colleague from the ITU, Sylvester Cadet, invited guests, and business leaders from different sectors in St. Kitts and Nevis, all protocols observed. It gives me really a pleasure to be here, and also an honor to be here to share with you the experiences of how we can work on this strategic plan for broadband for St. Kitts and Nevis. I'll share with you one aspect here, that when we were contacted by ITU to come and do this project, not only did we feel very pleased, but we were also equally surprised and honored, because at the same time, we were also engaging with St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of other aspects of development. Honorable Minister, first of all, let me also pass my messages from our Secretary General, Acting Secretary General, Mrs. Nisa Fuatel Pulsel. She sent her regards to people of St. Kitts and Nevis, but also more importantly, we are very much supportive for the application that you've made to join the CTO, which I would gladly say has been approved. Yes. So the aspects of developing this particular strategy came at a more poignant time, whereby we were also thinking of other development aspects, especially including things to do with cybersecurity, strategy, and other areas that were being looked at, including the digital framework, which I think has been almost done for the government, the digital strategy for the government. On the other hand, this particular strategy, we hope, will be able to cover a number of areas. I don't want to go into full details. I think most of the details were covered earlier on by the director in terms of the scope of what we shall be covering. But I would like to highlight that the key aspect, as alluded by my colleague from the ITU, is to make sure that the broadband dividend is actually realized for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The strategic plan and the scope of this particular work will look at a number of areas. There are roughly about 6 areas that we hope to cover. These areas have been already highlighted by the director earlier on. But just to add on those particular 6 areas, we also have what we call the cybersecurity and data protection and privacy, which we shall be looking at as one of the key aspects of how it affects the broadband deployment and also the usage of broadband going forward. We also hope to cover areas including the areas of open access. For example, how do we make sure that we have a more liberal, open environment where technologies, where different service providers can provide their equipment in terms of providing services. We'll try and look at competitive markets. How do you make sure that the environment is competitive enough? How do you make sure that everybody plays into the field and they are able to get the return on investment in terms of the development of broadband in the country? We'll look at, more importantly, also on the issues of how we can lower costs, because the cost of data is far, far too high in a number of jurisdictions. Statistics say that the cost of 1 gigabyte of bandwidth or 1 gigabyte of data should always be less than 2% of the lowest earning individuals in the country. And we'll look at these statistics and see how do we relate it to these particular costs. So the cost of data is something that the Honorable will be trying to discuss to see how the broadband strategy could be able to address this. Notwithstanding, we'll look at innovation and things like, for example, applications, content, and emerging services as a key area. There is a young population in the country. There are people who are very innovative, savvy, and therefore the truthfulness of how we can realize these benefits will be realized within the strategy so that we can be able to look at how the strategy can be able to help and improve people's livelihoods. Last but not least, because I'll have to talk a little bit shorter now because I'll talk later, is to look at what else is normally attuned to St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of the customs, in terms of the citizens, in terms of the nature of the people. You've got a beautiful land, you've got nice oceans around you. So the question is to look at the opportunities that we can take advantage of, given the natural beauty that the two islands have. With those few remarks, Honorable Minister, I would like to stop there, and then I'll be talking more later during the day. But I would like to thank both the government and, of course, ITU and the people and the participants in this particular event for the time that you've taken, and hopefully we'll be able to realize a fruitful week. Thank you very much.
While I would want to adopt the protocol that has been established before me, I should recognize the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs and Communication, Ms. Diana Francis. I would also want to recognize the Director of the Department of Technology, Ms. Anissa Mussenden, and her senior staff, Brain Trust. You have heard from Arthur Shiverton, and she also has with her here Ms. Ophelia Blanchard, who is the E-Coordinator in Software Development. But I must a special welcome to Mr. Sylvester Cadet, who is the Program Officer for the International Telecommunications Union in our region, and who has been coming to St. Kitts for a number of years now and has been involved in some significant programs we have had here. And we always have a welcome mat open for you, Sylvester, and we have to thank you for the work you have done in the past and as we go forward. I'd also want to welcome Dr. Martin Kayobe, who is our lead consultant here from the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, CTO, and thank you for the appreciative remarks that you brought from your Secretary General. The CTO is a critical and important organization, as it is with the ITU, that we are very happy, as Dr. Kayobe has said, to have become one of its newest members. And as you can see in our program here today, the types of benefits that we as a small island developing state can get from partnership and from being members in these international organizations. And so I think that the fact that Dr. Kayobe has been able to announce here today that St. Kitts and Nevis is now a full-fledged member of the CTO is something that is very welcome, and we are thankful for that. I must mention that I had looked forward very much to have attended a forum earlier this year in Sierra Leone that dealt with a number of emerging technologies, blockchain and so on. Unfortunately, there was a scheduling conflict that could not allow me to attend. But our officers will look forward to participating in areas where we can grow and develop to be able to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis properly as we move forward. I'd also want to welcome and recognize members from our service providers. I note the chairman of the cable is here, one or two other officers. We have people here from the Cable and Wireless and Digicel. And I note as well the acting chairman of the board of directors of the NTRC, and the managing director, Mr. Irvin Williams, is also here as well. And all of you, we're glad to have you here today. And as I heard Dr. Kayobi and Mr. Cadet before mention speak, I wanted to put away my notes just to take my seat. But I will try and see if I can give a perspective from our government. And I start by a simple truth that broadband is the great infrastructure challenge of the early 21st century. Broadband, like electricity and water, road networks, is a public good. It is critical infrastructure. I heard Urta say that it's almost. We are already there. Because if broadband goes down, if the internet goes down, and people with their cell phones can communicate and send a WhatsApp, you know what I mean? They want to go crazy, you know what I mean? So the internet, broadband, is a critical infrastructure. It is the lifeblood of our country, just like a road network, just like electricity, just like water. The electricity goes down and you have your broadband, you have your thing, you feel okay. If your broadband goes down and you have electricity, you feel out of sorts. It is a public good, it's a critical infrastructure. As with electricity and water rollout in the 1960s and the 1970s, broadband is recognized as a foundation for sustainable economic growth, enabling the development of new industries, creating new jobs that involve creative and innovative thinking, that lead to more resilience, and that adapt to new challenges and embrace new opportunities for advancement of our movement forward into a digital economy. Broadband is a key driver for innovation in ICTs, and it is an enabler for transformation, for change, for national development and improvement in the life of everyone in our country and for all our citizens. Broadband is influencing how we educate our children, how we integrate the use of ICT in the curriculum development, the delivery of lesson plans using smart boards, promotion of coding in primary school, something that's very passionate, that I have a great passion to see our young 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds have the ability to code, not to be engineers per se, but have an understanding and awareness of how we live through these images and text and data transmission. And through these things, we hope that we can inspire the next generation of software engineers and explore the use of emerging technologies such as robotics, 3D printing, and augmented reality. Broadband also is critical. I should just say a little bit more about that in terms of education. We have been speaking for years about EduNet, And EduNet is a way in which all our high schools and primary schools are linked by broadband. They have our primary schools, our high schools have a link that needs to be leveraged, needs to be used significantly more as we bring our kids, our students into this world, this new world that we are emerging into, that we're developing into. We use broadband and we hope we can use it much more fully than we are at the moment. In health services, we have been working with the Taiwanese for some years now to develop a hospital information management system. And as the government expands and develops its public policy to move into a national health insurance scheme that would revolutionize how we deliver health services, each of us will eventually develop our own patient records. And of course, Dr. Karaobi spoke about data privacy and the protection of these matters. But in terms of you going to a doctor or a health center, there will be, as we move forward and develop, systems that allow you to give permission for your doctor or health provider to access your records wherever they may be in the country. And that has to be done through connectivity to broadband. Our electricity company manages energy currently using broadband. And this is supplied to consumers because we have smart metering devices that are being used throughout our country as we speak, whereby meter readers are now not visiting your home, but they are behind the computer at the electricity department, measuring what you use. So the metering devices are connected by broadband. It's part of that evolution of this connectivity that we have in the country. And so the whole question of monitoring technologies that provide real-time service to households and businesses, and we invest in sustainable sources of green energy, including the use of solar energy and geothermal energy as we move forward in St. Kitts and Nevis. In our national security systems that protect our citizens, broadband is critical as we have completed phase 1 of the CCTV service here in Bastia area. Some 300 cameras are deployed throughout Bastia, and we are now moving into phase 2 to establish cameras around the rest of the island in our network, as it is in Nevis as well, and we do broadband in Nevis and CCTV. But for the CCTV to function, we grow our plants and our networks. We establish ourselves as having the vision and the foresight that as we move forward, we see ourselves developing into a modern country, a modern economy, one in which we'll be able to attract more and more business and businesses that require that type of infrastructure that we are talking about here today. And I must say that all of these advancements must be applauded as we talk about developing broadband and other aspects of ICTs. This rollout of a broadband strategy is critical, it's imperative that we do so. It cannot be done without a strategic plan, where we go, what we expect, what the outcomes will be. We might do something here that looks good and something there that good, but there must be a structured way in which it is done. We must understand what we are doing, where we want to go. And from that, we can develop the plan, and the implementation becomes much better, and you get more buck for your bang, or bang for your buck, how you say it. And it's in this context that the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs and Communications, why we are privileged and grateful to have the support of the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, and the Commonwealth in convening this workshop to develop this national broadband strategy for St. Kitts and Nevis. And as has been said before, the main intent of this workshop is to establish an effective framework, an enabling environment that will optimize, standardize, and increase access to broadband applications and services throughout the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. By so doing, our country will be well positioned to take full advantage and accelerate our advancement into an intelligent, innovative, resilient, and cyber-safe digital economy in the 21st century. We hope that this workshop will establish a critical path that acknowledges the complex and interconnected nature of the broadband ecosystem. It is more than just the transmission of electronic data signals at high speeds over high capacity networks, but more importantly, it ensures that broadband capabilities become available, useful, and beneficial to all of us in our society. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis is fully committed and will support this national broadband strategy and the implementation process that is ongoing and will follow from that strategy. We welcome the partnership of the private sector and encourage the continual involvement of civil society in this journey towards building a digital economy. I would want to urge all of you, entrepreneurs, students, ICT professionals, public servants, to challenge the limits of technical innovation so that our country can positively benefit from the opportunities for economic and social advancement that enhance the quality of our lives. I would want to assure you that the government will encourage consultations like these, continue to encourage consultations like these, and that we'll want to design the necessary strategies, policies, and legislative framework that foster robust competition, and that has as a result, and not only as a result, but fundamental to all of that, that we would want to spur innovation, increase investment, and most importantly, protect consumer welfare. That is very important. We want to ensure efficient allocation and management of resources that support affordable access to broadband for all our citizens. We want to establish and encourage investment in ICT infrastructure, internet connectivity. We want to be able to encourage capacity building, public awareness. We want to encourage the development of local content for broadcasting and publication, application development that seeks to advance into a software development industry. We want to create an innovative ecosystem where persons can use their talents and creativity to inspire and to aspire to become successful entrepreneurs to advance St. Kitts and Nevis as an innovative and resilient country where persons can work, live, and play in peace and prosperity. Once again, we'd like to record our deep appreciation to the ITU and CTU, to our two facilitators, Mr. Cadet and Dr. Kayobi. We hope that all of you participants will have a very productive week, and that this workshop to develop a broadband strategy carried down to the benefit of our beloved country. Thank you very much.